This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership. Welcome to Construction Genius. This is Eric Anderton. My son, my oldest son, just started driving. He was very diligent, doing his driver training, taking all the classes, going out in the car with the dude who does the lessons. Took the test, passed it first time. Unlike me, when I was getting my license, I failed it, I think, 3 times, and didn't actually get my license until I was 20. But anyway, we have some cars around the house, and I'm actually letting him drive my car quite a bit. I've had my car for a while. It's an Honda Accord, super reliable. It's got less than 150,000 miles on it, so it's going to last a while. So it's a perfect kind of first car for one of those young drivers. As a result of that, I am considering getting myself a new car. I kind of needed the write-off for my business, but I wouldn't mind a new car. Bought the Honda in 2008 or 2021 when I'm recording this. And so I'm on the hunt. And I have a particular car in mind. It's a BMW X5 45e. It's the hybrid BMW SUV. I'm buying it because the weight of the vehicle will give me a good write-off on my taxes. And it's a hybrid, so I can go electrical around town and gas on the road. I recently test drove a Tesla, actually rented one for a road trip. And I just got irritated having to stop and recharge the battery. So I like the idea of a hybrid. Anyway, so I'm on the hunt for this BMW. Haven't quite decided to get it yet, whether this year or next year. We'll figure that out. But I'm the perfect demographic for BMW. You know, I've got the money. I'm well targeted. I know exactly what I want. And so I've been looking online, but then one day I had some free time in the afternoon, so I decided to walk into the BMW dealership near me. And it's really, really interesting. The first thing I noticed when I hit the car lot was that they didn't have a lot of inventory, which is something we're experiencing here in the United States at the moment. And so I walk in and kind of wander around a little bit, walk up to the front desk, and I ask them, hey, do you guys have any 2021 used 45Es, either in stock or on your radar? And so the guy behind the counter, he types in the model I'm looking for. And he says, no, we don't have anything. And immediately he says, well, what about this model and that model? But now I'm totally clear. I want the hybrid and I want the 2021 and something that's used. Okay, but what's interesting is that I then turned around and I walked out the door, got in my car and drove away. This guy made no attempt to get any of my information. He didn't get an attempt he never made an attempt to, say, hey, listen, I'll follow up with you. Nothing happened. And why do you think that is? Because, I'm walking in, I'm going to purchase a car. It's well over $50,000, right? That's obviously a good lead for them. I'm in their target demographic. I should be getting some attention, right? If you walk into the dealership, it's kind of a buying signal, isn't it? But the guy doesn't get my name. He doesn't ask me any more details about what I'm looking for. Did they not care? Was it because they had no inventory? Or was it perhaps that they had no real solid process in place? Or if they did have a process in place for a walk-in customer, this particular individual wasn't trained on that process. So I don't know the answer to that. But I'm assuming that because they didn't get my name and my number, they didn't have a solid process in place. And that's what I want to talk about here today. How you can identify and fix broken processes. So what we want to do first is just give a quick overview of processes. And then when we do that, we'll talk about areas to improve in your business. And then we'll break down how to plan out a process improvement sequence. And at the end of the show, I'm going to tell you how you can get a resource that I'm going to provide for free that you can actually use to help you map out your processes. So what is a process? Let's start right there. A process is a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. Okay, that's all a process is. It's a series of actions and steps in order to achieve a particular end. And why are processes important? Number one, the reason why processes are important is for consistency's sake in your business. If you're going to make money in your business, you must consistently deliver on your value promises. In terms of construction, you must consistently deliver projects profitably, safely, and on time. And if you're going to do that, you have to have a series of systems, a series of actions and steps in place, a whole connected web of processes that you can execute again and again and incrementally improve over time. It helps you to be consistent. It helps you also to train people in your organization. When a new person comes into your organization, you should have a process in place for how you bid work, how you plan work, how you build work, and how you get paid. And of course, there's tons of stuff underneath that you need to focus in. But if you have a process in place, you can then train other people in this is the way we do things. As a result of having processes in place, there's consistency, you're able to train people, and that creates a comfort level for both you and your customers, for your employees and your customers. It removes friction, it can remove drama, it can remove frustration. So processes are vital to the success of your company. But why do processes fail? Well, they fail for a number of reasons. Number one, they are badly designed. Again, step by step, that's what a process is all about, a series of actions. And so if one action is well designed, but the next action isn't, it doesn't matter what happens to the other actions after the poorly designed action. You create a bottleneck in your organization. And as a result of that bad design, things break down. Another reason processes fail is because of poor training. And this is one of the issues in companies, is that a lot of people almost instinctively know how to do what they do. But because they don't systematize it and write it down in a process, they have trouble communicating it to others. They have trouble training others on it. And therefore, the process breaks down and there's failure. Another reason why processes fail, and this is perhaps the most frustrating one, is you design the process well, you train on the process so that everyone knows how to do it, and yet there's no discipline in the execution of the process. And as a result of a lack of discipline, you can have the best designed process in the world, but if you don't use it and execute it, then it's not going to help you. So let's think a little bit more here in terms of your construction company and areas of process that you could improve. We've already talked about those, I've mentioned them in passing here. Number one, you've got to get work. So let me give you an example. How precious do you think those leads are that come into your company? For example, you should put a process in place for lead follow-up. So let's say someone inquires about a project. They have a project that they're doing. Let's say you're a general contractor and a developer contacts you and they say, hey, listen, I got a project that's coming up and I'd like you to take a look at it. And of course, if it's a fit for you, if it's the right project in the right location and you want to do business with a developer, you like this person or you know them, then you're probably going to say yes. But let's say the developer calls you back a week or two later and they say, hey, listen, this project's going to go on hold for a while and I'll get back to you in a few months when it's ready to go. And so it goes dark. Has that ever happened? I'm sure it has. And then what's interesting is that 12 months later, you find out that some other general contractor is going to do the work with a developer. And their project is going forward, and there was that time frame when it went dark, but you perhaps forgot about it, or the person who got the lead in the first place, they just kind of neglected it. And as a result of that, you lost the opportunity to build that project. Has that ever happened? Of course it's happened. It's happened to all of us. That's why you need a follow-up process in place for any lead that comes into your organization. And it doesn't have to be super complicated. I'll give you an example. I have a follow-up process I use with all of my coaching clients, where after a coaching call, they'll tell me what their action plan is going to be. And typically my next call with them is going to be, 10 days to 14 days later. So in between our call today and our next call, I will schedule an email to go out to them, asking them how well they're making progress on the commitments that they've made. Now, going back to the lead follow-up for you in your construction company, perhaps what you could do is use a tool such as Gmail. It's in Gmail already, or whatever the email process or system is that you use. I'm sure they have a scheduling tool in there. But if someone calls you and they inquire about a project opportunity, a project they have, send them an email following up right away saying, thank you for calling me, and I look forward to talking to you. And then schedule a series of emails to go out to them, perhaps 30 days later, 60 days later, 90 days later, following up with them, asking them, when is this project going to be available to bid on? Okay. So a simple follow-up process can really help you in terms of getting work. In terms of building work, the one area that I really hear from my clients that is a challenge internally is the handoff from estimating to project management of a project. So estimating lands the work and everyone's excited about it. And then they do a poor handoff to project management, and immediately the project gets in trouble in terms of schedule, in terms of deliverables, in terms of the relationship with the client. And so what you need to do is get your estimating and project team together to work through building a process so balls aren't dropped during the handoff between estimating and project management. And then think about the bill work portion of your business. I mean, it's great to build awesome projects, but if you're not getting paid, then your business is going to suffer. Look at your accounts receivable process, for instance. Are you getting accurate information and timely information from the field to the office so that the project management team can then report to the accounts receivable folks and the billing can occur in a timely and accurate manner? Do you get all the information that you need? Do you have a process in place so that you can make sure that you're following up? And you probably have accounting programs that do that pretty well and reporting programs from the field. But do you have a process in place for those rogue accounts, for those folks who aren't paying you or who are slow paying you? Because when that slow pay happens, that's often when you're going to have to get a human being involved, someone to pick up the phone and start making phone calls specifically so that you can get the money that you have earned. You need to have a process in place for that. So now let's break down how to plan out a process. All right. So it's very simple. You want to keep this as simple as possible because there are very complex processes in every business. But if you can just go step by step, it's very helpful. The first thing you want to do is list out each process in your business. Now, if you're the president of your organization, you can delegate that to other people. You can delegate it to your chief estimator, you can delegate it to your COO, you can delegate it to your CFO, but you want a list of all the processes in your business and who has overall responsibility for that process. You want to ask, what is their authority limits for the particular process? What can they and can they not do? And how that success of the process is defined. Your job as the leader is to monitor performance and keep raising standards while giving the process leader what he or she needs to hit those standards. Okay, so first you list out all of your processes, and then you want to choose one process. Okay, you don't want to choose them all at once, but choose one process and map it out with metrics of success for each step. Okay, so you've got an overall process and you want to go step by step and break down that process into its component steps. Establish metrics for success for each one of the steps. Ask yourself what can go wrong in this particular step. Consider how you're going to monitor and measure how the step is being executed, and then begin to brainstorm ideas to improve each step. And for each step in a process, you should have one person responsible for the success of that step. You may have a different person responsible for the overall success of the process, but for each step in the process, you need a person responsible. Okay, so we began by taking a look at the overview of processes and why they're important and why they fail. We talked about areas of process for you to improve upon. And we've talked about how to plan out and set up process improvement. Now, I still haven't purchased my car, And like I said, when I walked into the BMW dealership, their process for working with a walk-in was pretty weak. Now, what's interesting, though, is I made an inquiry to the same dealership online, and they were right on it. They had a process all set up online for capturing a lead and for following up with me. And their communication online was much, much more effective than their communication in person, which I found tremendously interesting. That may speak to how people are buying cars these days, more online than they are in person. And so in person, they're just a little rusty. Whereas back in the day, everyone walked into the dealership and maybe, they were really all over that because that's how they sold cars, not online, but in person. Whatever the case is, they definitely need to improve their process for in-person customers, but they've definitely got that online customer process, that lead capturing process nailed. So what's your next step? In the show notes, I've included a download for the process planning system that I described to you earlier in the podcast. So what you want to do is download that little tool. It's only 2 pages, but it'll give you an overview of how to go through process planning. Pick one area that you know is broken, a process that is broken, and go to work on fixing it, on figuring out the steps in the process, who's responsible for it, who can, what the metrics are associated with success, and then do some brainstorming with your folks on how to fix that process. My name is Eric Anderton. Appreciate you listening to Construction Genius today. Hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, please share it with other people. And of course, give us a rating or a review wherever you get your podcasts. And again, thank you for listening to Construction Genius today. Today's episode was brought to you by the Construction Conclave. If you as a construction leader would like to develop your skills and get involved in a community of like-minded construction professionals who are focused on building healthy teams, profitable projects, and long-term successful businesses, then the Construction Conclave is for you. It's a private, invitation-only group of construction leaders that are focused on developing their leadership skills. We do training every single month online that looks at how to become a better leader in a very practical, straightforward way. We also have other events that build community and camaraderie so that you can associate with others who are interested in developing their skills as leaders. If you'd like more information and to see if you qualify for participating in the conclave, feel free to reach out to me, eric@ericanderton.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of Construction Genius. Hope you found that 1% of inspiration to help you in the next few days. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes, share it with other construction leaders who you think would benefit, and thanks again for listening.